Hey, this is Glenda with the Monday Morning Pep Talk. The title of this segment, The Elegance of Failure. Right now, we're living in some very hard, very tough, for some excruciating economic times. And many people are pretty much down on themselves. Maybe you went to school, you got on the career track that now is just invalid. Or you're trying to get in the storage auction business and you're buying units and you're just not getting the results you want. I want you to understand something. Failure is part of the grand plan. Failure is not a bad thing. Now let me break that down to you. That doesn't mean when it happens you're going to jump up and throw a party. It doesn't mean you're not going to feel bad. It doesn't mean you may think you suck at for a period of time, because failure, even though it is part of the process, it is a very hard thing to embrace and wrap your mind around. But the thing is, once you learn how to do that, the benefits are so tremendous, it ain't funny. I'll give you an example. Part of this whole thing is when I say that you can transform your life and you can do things you've never done before. I speak from a position of experience, because every day I'm putting myself in a position where I'm doing something successfully that I never did before. With the writing, the production of the YouTube videos. In the beginning, my YouTube videos sucked. There were so many I deleted. It was just like, I don't believe you did that. It was just a waste of breath. But it's a process. And when I'm talking about I deleted a lot of videos, if all the videos that I produced were left up, I would probably be at 520, where instead of 330. Give you an idea of how many are gone. Another thing about failure is this book right here. There was so many mistakes. There were so many things that happened, and it got better. I took the criticism. I've actually spent a lot of money making things better, because for those of you who don't know, I had a book buyback program months ago. It's over now. So if you didn't get in, I did the video. It was up for months. Oh well. But essentially, the people who bought this book, if you sent this back, and I have quite a few, I have a lot. I sent them a new copy of Making Money 2011 edition, free of charge, and even paid for their shipping. But that was failure. And what happened from that? The book became much better. The two other books that came out of that failure, because one guy, he bought that book and he loved that book, and he's like, I need more. You talk about all this other stuff. I need a book about Craigslist, and I need a book about garage sales. This is what someone sent to me. That's the reason those two books exist. I was not going to write those two books. This is what the whole thing about failure is, when you embrace it, it leaves you on the path of success. I mean, I wasn't going to write all the stuff, the hustler mind. All this came from failure. The videos and many of the opportunities that I have entered my plate came from failure, because I'll tell you another thing about failure. When the producers and stuff was contacting me about reality shows, I'll be honest, I was a bit of an ass, because let's just be real. A lot of times on reality shows, you end up looking like a dumbass. And that was a huge, huge concern. And the producer was like, we're not going to do that. You're going to have control of that. And I don't think I was really sold on it, because I didn't play well in the sandbox, which was failure, because everyone's like, great opportunity to get on television. And then because of that failure, and because I maintained my integrity, some other great opportunities came my way that were better. See, this is the thing. You have to learn how to fail. Let me just go back to failing is not having bad outcomes and being happy about it. You're going to be upset. You should be upset. Then get over it. Get over it. Learn the lessons that are right there in front of your face and build. That's what failure can do for you. I'll give you another example of failure, and this was a massive, massive failure on my part. I am the type of person that when I'm like romantically chasing someone, I should say I'm the type of person that I don't break dates, I don't cancel dates. If it's we're in that tertiary stage where there's nothing really formed and there's someone else that comes along. If I have a date with girl A, I don't break it to get with girl B because girl B is prettier. And this is the reason why. Years and years ago, and this was an opportunity presented to me by writing. There was this listserv, and there was this chick who really liked my writing and the poems and stuff. And she had a friend that lived in Atlanta, and she kept trying to hook us up. And I was like, nah. Because usually when folks try to hook you up, it's a booger wolf. And no. But she kept on, and she finally put us together. And I got the girl's number, and we talked for a minute, and we set something up. But at that point, I'll be honest, I didn't have the honor I have today. I made a real bad mistake because I had a date set up with this chick. Then here comes chick B, who's making all these promises, who's speaking all this nasty stuff on the phone. And I'm just like, bet that's going to be like a sure deal. I'm going to get some ass. And I don't even know what girl A looks like. Well, go out with girl B and it's a disaster. Girl B was selling wolf tickets. Girl B was talking junk. She was just wanting to get out for a free meal. 4 months later, actually I'm getting ahead of myself. After the debacle with girl B, I called girl A up and she's like, look, I wasn't really down for this thing. I really don't, care about meeting you because honestly, we had something set up and I think another chick came along and you canceled on me and I'm going to go with my instincts and let's just say, forget it. And it's like, okay, cool. Nothing gained, nothing lost. I didn't even know what she looked like. 4 months later, I'm at an event and I run into her. Okay. One of the most gorgeous women I've ever seen in my life. That's not the good stuff. There's a certain type of woman that I like, and she was that type of woman naturally. I screwed up. She called me out on some bullshit, and it was like, wow, never. And this was 1999. And consequently, it's the first time and the only time I did some shit like that. And it cost me. Maybe she would have been a great friend. In it, there were so many things, but because I was not honorable, big, massive failure, and it was a choice, I never did it again. And that type of commitment, whether it's just something simple, has gotten me so far. A friend of mine recommended me for a position because I had an opportunity with one company and I had an opportunity with another company. And since I already committed to the smaller company, I went with it and there was much more opportunity. And the guy said, look, because you kept your word, because a lot of people would have bailed. It's like, it's all about the Benjamins, baby, and you didn't do that. He put me in line for even better opportunity. So this is what happens when you fail. You embrace failure and you move forward. It's not fun, but you have to do it. Stop looking at failure as a dirty word. It is the grand part of life. It's a part of the grand scheme. You can't get around it. And I'm going to give you an example that you failed over and over and over and over and over again. It didn't scar you. You don't even remember it, but everyone went through it. When you were a little bitty baby, and you were like crawling around with your little onesie on, and you start climbing up on furniture because you wanted to walk, and you climbed up, then you fell. Then you climbed up, and then you fell. Then your parents, they were like, come on, little snookum bookums, come on, little. And, this went on for weeks and months. Then one day, you're doing it. You got the little shaky little walk, and then it turns into a firm little walk, and the next thing you know, you're running around the house with a bad diaper. But let's look at the context of that failure. Everybody was on your side. Everybody was trying to help you learn how to walk, and you got support at every twist and turn. You fell down, they picked you up. You walked a bit, you got instant approval. Now, your parents are not going to do that for you now because you're older, nor should they. But what you need to do is learn how to give yourself that approval every time that you make a step in the right direction. I don't care if it's just like that big, I don't care if it's like that big. You've got to learn how to do that because it goes back to the video, The Internal Cheerleader. That is one of the reasons I think that I have been successful. Not because I'm the smartest person in the world, not because I outwork everybody. It's because I know how to pick up the pieces and put them back together again. If you can learn that skill set, it will get you through so many things in different aspects of life. It's not funny. You have to learn how to pick up the pieces. You have to learn how to stop looking for things to be perfect, because they're not going to be perfect. They're going to be okay. They're going to go well most of the time, but conditions are not always going to be optimum for you to do what you want. You have to make those conditions optimum. You have to work what you get. And as I get older, I realized growing up poor was one of the best blessings I could ever have in my life. Didn't have stuff growing up as a kid. That period of lack made me very resourceful and ultra creative. You know, I knew my mom didn't have money for, a weight set. So I fashioned a weight set out of an axle from a car, put it up in this tree. There's this pine tree in the front yard. And, I put it up there, and that's how I did my pull-ups. Then there was this bucket someone had left out, and it had cement in it. And I used that to do like rows of stuff. And I just found this stuff around my neighborhood and turned it into my gym. Now today they call that CrossFit. And people are paying a grip, but that's what it was. I had a garden hose. I put it up in a tree that would climb up the hole. All kinds of stuff that, the whole yard and trees and stuff, that was my gym. And it's just taught me how to fashion so many things, because when you develop those skill sets, they go with you throughout life. And, as I pointed out, many people are delaying their maturity in certain things because they keep avoiding dealing with problems. They keep avoiding dealing with failure. And you just kind of stay right here. I went to church yesterday for the first time in a long time. I guess I'm going to get my heathen card revoked because, the walls didn't shake and lightning didn't happen. And it was one of the first times that I went to church and there was a good sermon, and I didn't feel like he was speaking to me because my life was not so chaotic. It was like there was a good, because what he was talking about was, people following their dreams, and how many people are hamstringed or living in, or just being paralyzed because they can't find that dream or the courage, or sometimes don't even know what it is. And I was just sitting there like, wow, this is a sermon I actually don't need, because I already faced that demon. I'm going to tell you something. We tend to regret the things that we don't do more so than the fuck-ups we commit. I've seen that throughout life. When I worked in the hospital, I saw it. So I'm telling you, if you want to do something, do it. And if it doesn't work out, at least you know. But if it does work out, wow, it's going to be a beautiful thing, because I know people who are way more talented than I am. Way more talented as writers, way more talented as doing videos, but they don't have the books I have. They don't have the views that I have, because they don't work at it in the manner that I do. Because I'm a nerd. I take stuff apart and I look at it and I like put it back together again. And it works out a lot of time. Not always, but once again, as the title of this video indicates, failure is a part of the thing. And the way that I failed of late has been much easier to deal with than the way I used to fail. Because it used to be like, whoo, we're going up, wait a minute, someone cut the gas. I mean, they were massive. I'm talking about humiliation, people talking about me, folks doubting my sanity. It's like, man, you really did that? God, you're dating her? Man, I don't know about that. It was so many things that went on, but I rolled out the roughness, and I'm in a place today where I'm very happy with the way that my life is going. This was not an overnight process. You have to learn how to embrace what you like to do, what's good for you, and whatever dream, whatever passion you have, that's your thing. I often say that one of the hardest things in life is for people that have the courage to be themselves. As this YouTube channel suggests, because there are many things that I do here that people's like, you shouldn't do that. You really need to change your manner. And I said, fuck you, because I'm going to do it, because whether you like me or not, you get authenticity. this is me, this is my life, this is how I went from a poor little kid who spent 6 years in special ed to actually owning businesses and being successful. The first ones I failed, first 5 I failed. Later on I became successful to actually becoming a successful writer in a recession. That is what I can give you. Those kind of tools, because when I was reading all those magazines and books about success and business, there was a disconnect for me when I read about a guy who was already rich. Like when I started reading Donald Trump's books, and I've read the real story, because for those of you who didn't know, Donald Trump was born ultra wealthy, not well to do. The elder Trump, his father, I don't remember his name, Donald inherited an real estate empire in New York that was worth like $33 million, $40 million in the 70s in New York. Put that in proper context. In the same time period, you could get a really nice house for 25 grand. 25 to 50 grand would get you a nice, 25 would get you a nice house. 50, 60, that was like ultra luxury in the super nice neighborhood. That's how much money. I give him credit for actually increasing it before he lost it. But the whole point is, he's someone that can't tell me, his father could tell me how to go from nothing to something. And he could like, all right, when you're at this level, then you can go here. He's got that experience. But for most of us, we're looking for someone that can help us get from nothing to something. And one day I realized that, I was reading these books and they weren't working for me. They just weren't working. And then it hit me. I had to construct my own path. Pull out the machete, cut down the grass, and go in my own direction, because what I wanted to do, there was nobody really doing it. There were some things in terms of motivation, in terms of how to look at the world, but what got me where I'm at today is spending some money on self-education, reading a ton of books, and actually doing something. Because there are many folks who listen to motivational tapes and they read the books, but they don't do anything because they're afraid of failure. Do it. Go ahead and fail. Cry, bitch, go out and get drunk, get over it, then move on. Just like that quarterback that throws the pick six, within minutes, he's got to rearrange his mind, because if he doesn't, if he gets the boogaboo, you know what the boogaboo is? Like, you throw one pick, then you throw another. It's like it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, because it's in his head. I threw a pick, and then he throws the ball, and the next thing you know, it's a pick again. He's doing that on purpose, unintentionally, because that's what's up in his head. That's why when you look at someone like Aaron Rodgers, who's like, he'll throw a pick, and the next thing you know, he's going to throw the long bomb. He's mentally together. Because if there's nothing else that I can tell you about life and business, if you can get your mental environment straight, there's nothing you can't do. There's nothing you can't do, because that's where it all starts. So understand, if you had a crappy weekend, the people on Craigslist are giving you the blues, look at what you're doing, take it apart, and improve it. And don't be afraid to fail, and also educate yourself. If you don't want to spend any money, spend hours studying data. Because either you're going to pay in a ton of sweat equity, or you're going to pay in some cash. I paid in both, because the best things that I've gotten that I felt were phenomenal and that helped me become successful, I spent a grip on. That was actually part of one of Brian Tracy's courses. He says you need to spend 2 to 5% of your income every year on self-improvement courses. And he outlaid the story of the salesman. He started off at 50, then he went to 75, then he went to 100. And every year he would get better, but he would spend more and more money. And part of self-improvement courses are, motivational books, webinars, seminars. Because recently I've decided to go ahead and give the blogs and my websites more love. I've been going to social media meetups. I've paid for a few webinars, and every time that I spend that money, what I do becomes better. Like the videos, I went to a video boot camp, and it made a world of difference. There was so many things I was doing right. Like now I have light. Back in the beginning, I looked like the boogeyman. I mean, it was just like, It was ridiculous. Now that I look at it, but see, I didn't know. I had no clue because, so someone put the video up, other people's videos go and I had the black bars up there. It was just madness, but you have to go through the process. But once you go through this and you learn, you become better. It just takes the courage to learn how to fail. All right, that's your Monday morning pep talk. And this is Glendon. A lot of cool stuff's happening this weekend, and somebody's going to win some prizes in the contest. You have exactly 1 day today to enter, and then, hey, we're going to announce the winners. All right, this is Glendon with Making Money with Storage Unit Auction.